Saturday morning on the Krueger Show. Hope everybody's having a great January the 11th, 2025. Look who's in the house, John Chapman. We're going to talk some Niners. Join us. Let's go. All right, welcome to the Krueger Show. We're always brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they're a real barbecue joint, so they do run out. Get there early. Get some brisket chili. It's all good. But go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corners, sports cards and collectibles. If you're a sports card enthusiast and you're along the Monterey Peninsula, go say hi to my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, right there along the Monterey Peninsula. Or you can give him a call. He's at 831-521-5264. And this live stream is brought to you by BetUS. That's right. I'm loving BetUS. With BetUS, you get the fastest payouts in the industry and easy withdrawals, live wagering in all major games. Plus, you get 10% back on your net losses twice a year. On top of that, you were also your own personal account manager. So sign up at betus.com. Use the code YouTube150 to claim your offer. And we should tell you, if you type in YouTube150, you get 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, 125% sign-up bonus on your next two, up to $2,000. So sign up at betus.com. Use that code YouTube150, or you won't be able to claim that offer. Once again, the code YouTube150. And thanks to BetUS for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. John Chapman's in the house. John, good to see you. Happy New Year. And, you tweeted out a tweet from Lynch's presser the other day and commented on it. And your comment was, John Lynch was commenting on why the Niners, he was asked why the Niners are so bad in the fourth quarter. They got outscored dramatically in the fourth. And I guess he went into a long diatribe about injuries and this and that, which is only indirectly responsible. But let's hear from Lynch, and then we'll let everybody, we'll share the screen, let everybody hear this quote from Lynch, and then we will get your thoughts on it, and then we'll start talking a little bit about it. Here is John Lynch right here. This is from the presser the other day, and here we go.
Yeah, you don't want to have excuses. A lot of our finishers weren't out there, and then on top of it, we still had opportunities. We still put ourselves in good position, and we couldn't get it done. So we have to own that as a team. That's why we're 6-11. We have a high standard. We had high expectations. We fell short of that, and it's our job to fix that. And I know that Kyle and I are committed as we've ever been to doing just that. We don't plan on being in this place. Don't like it. It's terrible to sit home and watch something that you expect yourself to be in the tournament. And we're going to go about the work, and we're excited about the work to do just that. But I do believe we have finishers on this team, and got to continue to add to that. We got to continue to infuse youth and good football players to this team, and we'll do that.
The question was, you're the worst fourth quarter team in the NFL. What are the reasons? And that was the reason he gave. And John, you reacted, you put this out, and you said, I completely disagree with his answer. Injuries are a part of it, but it's not the reason they keep getting destroyed late in games. So why don't we start our conversation right there? Good to see you, John. And you put this out, and it kind of got my attention, and I thought, let's get John on and we'll talk a little bit about this. Give me your reasoning.
Yeah, injuries are a big deal. And yes, the Niners were completely affected by injuries, but so were other teams. And I don't think there was another team in the NFL. In fact, I know that it'd go from first and fourth quarter defense in the NFL in 2023 to dead last. I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of the NFL, going from best in fourth quarter scoring to 32nd and giving up almost 10 points a game. I think they finished 9.7 points per game allowed in the fourth quarter. I think a lot of it had to do with very, very poor coaching and very, very poor talent evaluation. Nick Sorensen obviously is no longer the DC, so that's one adjustment that they've made from there. But you go back to fourth quarters, and it's third and long, third and short, third and whatever. 49ers never learned the entire season how to line up against bunch trip formation, which we got exposed week 2 against the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell. I mean, he torched us in bunch trips. And then every single team since then that had a offensive coordinator worth their salt, bunch trips. They'd identify man defense, which Nick Sorensen telegraphed from the jump on third down, and then they would motion into a bunch trips formation. And it wasn't even like teams had to get creative. They just had to copy and paste. And we never got over that hurdle. On top of that, you add into the fact that you're putting Devondre Campbell in man situations and crucial situations all season long. Jair Brown in man coverage situations, neither of which are man coverage guys. And even whenever you have a good corner like Charvarius Ward, he's played against some of the fastest, speediest wide receivers in the NFL, which has never been his strong suit. There's no safety help over top. And so whenever you can't recognize the weaknesses or deficiencies in the roster that you're sending out there on the field, and you're doing nothing to mask those repeatedly for the entire season, especially in the fourth quarter and third downs, that is the reason. And so you could talk about finishers not being out there, and I'm the biggest Dre Greenlaw fan that has ever existed. And yes, he was very impactful, but when you have such a you're just carrying sandbags around yourself for as soon as you go into the fourth quarter. And I kept saying this all year. If the 49ers are up 13 points heading into the fourth quarter, they're not winning this game. And I don't think that they won one game where they weren't up 13 or more points in the fourth quarter of the season. It was pretty consistently bad and awful with what they did in that fourth quarter.
I would ask this. I've been covering football for a while. I've played it. I've coached it. I've scouted it. I've seen Canadian football up close. What's a finisher? What position does a finisher play?
Yeah, it's the Patrick Mahomes. It's the clutch gene. It's the whatever you want to call it. And yeah, there is not a position that is a quote unquote finisher, but whatever it was, the 49ers don't have that. And I mean, you probably one of the plays that is just burned into my brain. You know, I was at the Cardinals, the week 18 game, and almost all of our starters are out, but some of our starters are not. One of them was Jordan Elliott, and I'm a Longhorn. He's a Longhorn. I'm a big Jordan Elliott fan.
That's right. He started at Texas and transferred to Mizzou. I forgot about that.
He got pancaked in the fourth quarter of that 70-yard touchdown run by a backup guard getting and it's just the talent evaluation process has been an issue. And whenever Jordan Elliott missed earlier in the year, Shanahan came on and you were there. He said, Jordan Elliott's one of our best run defenders. And I was just like, wait, what? No, he's not. No, he's not. That's not his skill set. Never has been his skill set. Yeah, he'll get a couple tackle for losses as a slasher, but we are misdiagnosing a lot of the issues. And I think that the 49ers, man, I went through and I deleted it, and I'm glad that I did. I cut up how many times John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan said something about injuries, and it was 26 times in that presser. And injuries are bad. I'm not saying the 49ers were not injured. I'm not saying that the injuries didn't affect it. I'm saying that is not the main reason why the 49ers didn't make the playoffs this year. They were poorly coached on defense and special teams. And the play calling defensively and special teams and offensively, I mean, just you abandoned the run in 7 games this year. That is not the way that this roster is built, whether it's CMC out there or not. We are an outside zone, play action pass, move the pocket, sell the run team. And whenever you turn Brock Purdy, who most of us love, I'm wearing my Brock Purdy t-shirt, he's not built, and this roster isn't built currently to throw the ball 40 plus times a game and have a successful time, especially if it's raining outside. And that happened as well in a few games. So I wish that there was a little bit more culpability. And yeah, there's times where Shanahan did come out and say, yeah, this is on me, I'm responsible and all that. But I do feel like they just hit that easy button anytime something doesn't go their way, and they just say injuries. I think that's a little bit of a cop-out. That's all.
It's a coverall. It's a bullshit coverall is what it is. It's a total bullshit coverall. It's like, did they have injuries? Yeah. Did they lose? Yeah. But that's not necessarily cause and effect, right there. I mean, it didn't help, right? No, you're never going to win more games because you're injured. But let's go back to the finishers. When was the last time you saw the 49ers on offense finish a game?
Yeah, that's the hard
when they
one.
won, not when they lost.
That's the hard one, because the answer should be the most recent Super Bowl. That's what it should be. You walk off the field 3 times in the fourth quarter and overtime with the lead. You walk on, you're losing. You walk off, you're winning. But then the defense doesn't show up. And again, this is why I think I got so frustrated whenever I heard that answer, was because you didn't fix what happened last year in the playoffs. Last year in the playoffs, the defense completely, and I understand moving on from Steve Wilkes. I get it. I totally understand that. But the one thing that carried over from 2023, that playoff run, into the 2024 season, was just getting shredded in the second half defensively. And it didn't matter if that was Wilkes or Sorensen or whatever else. That's the problem. And so the offense fourth quarter production was right at average in the NFL. Now, I know that's not what you want, right? Like, you want to be, especially with Shanahan, especially with the payroll and all the extensions they have offensively, you want the fourth quarter offense to be top 10. Well, it wasn't. And Shanahan's not a fourth quarter guy. It's not what it is. But when your defense and special teams are dead last in fourth quarter EPA, you have to make up. So average isn't good enough. And that's why the result was you're dead last in the NFL in collective point differential in the fourth quarter. Good teams don't do that. Good teams are good when it matters most, not whenever it's first quarter or third quarter, which is Shanahan's staple. So those things have to be adjusted to. And whenever you blame it on injuries, no. You have abandoned the run offensively. I don't know how many games in the fourth quarter, Krug? Like,
a lot. I mean, that's Shanahan's bugaboo, is that, and I looked it up, in the 5 or 6 biggest losses of his life. Okay, so I'm talking about Rams in the NFC Championship game, both Super Bowl losses to Kansas City. Those 3 games for sure. The Ravens game on Christmas, and the Patriots game in the Super Bowl when he was the OC. So I view those as the 5 biggest games, let's say, of Shanahan's coaching career. If you go look at those games, what you're going to find is that they ran the ball very little. They passed the ball a ton. It was almost 60-40 pass run split. So what happens in the biggest games of his career? He gets a little pass happy. I think that's the only common denominator that I can see. The one thing about the 49ers, they do need to build their offensive line. I mean, they got to a game a couple games ago, and I forget which game it was, but it was one of the last 2 or 3 games of the year. It was second and goal from the 4. They passed. It was third and goal from the 4. They passed. It was fourth and goal from the 4. They kicked a field goal after they were, mathematically eliminated from the season. They're still kicking field goals instead of going for it, and then trotted off the field. And it's like, that's not what you do. Now, if I ask Kyle Shanahan, I would fully expect him to say, well, I know my team. I'm trying to do what works. Like, is it his philosophy to pass on the 4? No. But if he doesn't feel like he's got the back or the linemen to run it in, and they haven't been able to run in the low red zone all year, he's just trying to do what he can do that he thinks might be successful. But he's now, John, coaching around the flaws in this football team. And when you no longer consider running the ball on second and goal and third and goal from the 4, you're in a real difficult spot in the red zone, because I think everybody kind of knows you don't have belief that you can run it. And why don't we start there? Because to me, any turnaround of the 49ers has to start with, how do they score inside the 5 on the ground? Because if it's going to be, hey, it's Brock Purdy, everything's on Brock Purdy, they don't have enough power to move people. They don't have enough quickness or speed to shake free. So then it's really just about, can Shanahan dial up a play that will fool you? And they're going to try to fool everybody. And that's just, it's not sustainable. So What can they do? What do you think? I mean, that would be like if Kyle said, Krug, you're a big time Niner guy. I'm going to take an hour to sit down with you and talk about our problems and see if you can help us. The first thing I would say to him is your number one problem is that you can't run the ball. When you need a yard, you can't get it. When you need to pass, you can't pass. When you need to do whatever you need to do offensively, you don't have the line to protect you or open run lanes. So you can't do what you want to do. So I think it kind of starts with getting a whole lot more physical and powerful and explosive on the line of scrimmage on the offensive line, or get a better back, a bigger, more powerful back that you feel like you can punch it in with. But you got to be able to score touchdowns inside the 5-yard line, or you're not a true Super Bowl contender. And I think it starts there. And what do you think, John? How can they upgrade what they have so they can be a team that can run the ball inside the 5?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's anytime it's a 1-score possession game in the fourth, Shanahan panics. And it doesn't even matter if he's up. You look at the Rams game, whenever he was up 3 in the fourth quarter, they ran it 10 times, despite the fact that they were trailing. We ran it 5. I mean, it's just rinse, repeat. You went through all the games. I think a lot of it starts right up front with Jake Brendel, who I know that they love.
Why?
Chris Forster.
I don't get it.
He doesn't get hurt. He plays through a lot of injuries. He is very tough. He makes a lot of good calls at the line. But you talked about strength and bigger backs. I would argue Jake Brendel is the most finesse center in the NFL that is the weakest at the attack point. And now what he has achieved as, his undrafted free agent, career backup to landing, these contracts and starting, like, it's impressive what he's done. But you want to know why you can't move forward when it matters most? Jake Brendel. And you watch him, and you watch Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel watches his own guys. He will block for 1 count, and then he will turn around and see what happens behind him consistently. And it's just never been addressed. It's never been corrected. And that is a major issue. So if your A gaps are just being destroyed, weak play in, play out, drive in, drive out, you get no movement there, that's going to be an issue. Now, that doesn't have to be the case because Dominic Pooney's done very, very well. But then also you could talk Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks was outplayed by not 1, not 2, but 3 backups this season. Nick Zakelj, Ben Barch, and Spencer Burford, and they kept going back to Aaron Banks. And I like Aaron Banks. And again, tough, great guy, local community. He's awesome. But if Aaron Banks isn't 100% healthy, he does not fit what we do, and he is not effective. So you've got a bad sitter, you've got a bad guard, neither of which get any push whatsoever. And when Trent Williams isn't in there to kind of elevate the play of Aaron Banks, man, 2 out of 5 of your offensive linemen can't run block. Can't do it. Now, Jake Brendel can get to the second level, and he is good at that. I do have to say, you have to give Jake Brendel credit. Whenever he's got to get out and screen block or get to the second level, he could do that. But you put a shade or a nose over him, you're in trouble. You're not getting any movement in that A gap at all, period. You're actually going to get more penalties than you are first downs. He leads the NFL in penalties from the center position. And so not only are you not getting the push you need, you're going the opposite way with penalties. And so it's a lack of talent evaluation. I'm going to keep going back to that. Aaron Banks had no business starting games after Ben Barch, Spencer Burford, and then even late Nick Zakelj all played better than him this year.
I'm going to share the screen. I think I've located our center of the future.
Here we go, baby. Let's go.
Here he is. His name's Marcus Ware, and he is a right tackle for Montana State. But as you can see, kind of a shorter armed right tackle. They project him to center. He's a pancake monster at Montana State. You gotta go watch this guy, Marcus Ware, Wehr.
I'm adding him to my list. Draft. We're up to 300 names on our draft evaluation sheet. So Marcus Ware, I'm adding him.
Marcus Ware, that's my favorite center in this upcoming draft, and he's probably a day 3 5th round pick, maybe late 5th round pick, something like that. All right, so where are you with Brock Purdy, as far as there's a lot of people that are really nervous about Brock Purdy. My feeling on the Purdy contract thing, especially after watching this last presser with Lynch and Shanahan, is kind of optimistic. And here's why. Tell me if you think I'm seeing this right or wrong. But they came out in this press conference. They could have said whatever they wanted to say. They could have been real cagey. They could have been real coy. Instead, John Lynch was like, Brock's going to be our guy. He's our guy. He's going to be our guy for a long, long time. Then Shanahan came out and he's like, Brock's our guy. We love him. We love what he's about. I want him as my quarterback as long as I'm with the 49ers. So, I mean, they really could not have given him more of a stronger endorsement than they did. And all the people who were rooting for, Brock to be gone, it was, the presser day was a bad day for them. But I guess the question is, my takeaway is that if they have to have talked to Kyle Strongton, the agent for Brock Purdy, the fact that they're so overwhelmingly all in on Brock, they've got to know that the ask or that whatever that they feel like they can get on the same page contractually with this guy, right? I mean, is it safe to say, John, that Shanahan and Lynch would not have had that overwhelming endorsement if Brock Purdy had said, "Hey man, it's $68 million, not a penny less. Don't call me otherwise." I gotta feel that they're so over the top because they feel like they're not idiots. They're not going to run themselves into a nightmare situation, painting Brock as their only answer at quarterback, and then turning around and not being willing to pay whatever it is that they're going to have to pay to get him signed. And that's my read on it. I'm just hopeful, but otherwise, why would you talk such a big game about Brock Purdy? I realize there aren't tons of options, but there are options. And if he really did ask for $65 million and wanted record-setting, money, would they have come out in this presser and been so all in on him, knowing that how difficult it potentially would be to get him signed? I don't know. What's your read on what they said about him and where that contract negotiation start off is?
What's funny is we've had so many of these: Bosa, Warner, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Trent. I mean, it used to be one a year. Now it's two a year. It seems like. The funny thing about John Lynch, and I think John Lynch is like turned into a PR politician, word salad guy, and like he's really, really good at that, which is, I don't think that's a negative. He's not trying to create more drama. John Lynch will reciprocate whatever blueprint the player takes through this contract negotiation, right? So like Bosa, I don't want anything in the public. So anytime Lynch was asked, he's like, we're not talking about it. Debo, Ayuk, they went the other way. Drama, making fake videos, all that stuff. Well, the 49ers kind of went, hey, man, we've got offers out there, and, we're trying. And so they 100% allow the player to determine how this process is going to go. And Brock started it. What did Brock say last week? You were there. He's like, hey, I want to get this done quick. I want to be out there for the first, OTAs. I want to be there. And so that's why Lynch, I don't think Shanahan's that savvy or cares that much about it, but I do think Lynch does care about the PR. Goes out there and you completely reciprocate that. We want him here. We want him to be a part of this team. And I thought the strongest statement was Shanahan, where he says, I want Brock here as long as I am here. And why not? I mean, you went through Jimmy G. You didn't like that, so you got Trey. That was a cluster. And then Brock saved you. So why not extend that thing back to him? I feel Shanahan can win with Brock easily. This is the same guy that brought Matt Schaub with him to multiple locations, tried to get Kirk Cousins with him to multiple locations, Brian Hoyer to multiple situations. And so I think Brock can be that plus. You're looking at Kirk Cousins. I think he can elevate past that a little bit just because of how Brock plays under pressure, and how Brock, I feel like Brock's pretty good at that. Whereas, Kirk Cousins didn't kick the primetime Kirk Cousins until I think it was like year 11, maybe year 12. You remember whenever he was like 0 for 26 in primetime games or something like that?
Right.
So I think Kyle and John recognize the stability that comes with Brock Purdy's future financial being tied to the 49ers. And again, people always forget this. That fourth year on that rookie deal, he only counts for $1 million against the salary cap this upcoming year. So whatever deal you get, you are tacking on a free, interest-free year. So even though everybody talks APY and they're 55, 65, 60, whatever, that's not what is important for this team. It's the total guaranteed. Do the 49ers have an out after 3 to 4 years? Are they tied to them for, those total guarantees and void years afterwards? I think the way they structure this, which the Niners have been the best at, or one of the best teams in the NFL, I think that's what's important. Brock's not going anywhere, and you know that, Larry.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's going anywhere. But I guess my concern would be, his agent is this is his biggest client. And it's like, is he going to try to make a name for himself by getting
a name for myself?
from getting Brock some record-setting amount of money, or is he going to be a little bit more reasonable about things? Because let's be honest here. What's the winning amount? You know what I mean? It's like you want to do two things. You want to win the contract negotiation, but then more importantly, you want to win. Period. You want to win games. So what is going to win you games? Are you going to win games because you are making 65? Probably not. There's Mahomes is at 45. And Tom Brady took pay cuts to help his team's cap. Is the agent for Purdy going to be like, you know what, he's been underpaid the last couple of years, and I need to make him $65 million. He needs to get record-setting money, or is he going to be, you know what, let's get him in there at a price where they can put a good team around him, and he's got a chance to win a Super Bowl. Because if he wins that Super Bowl, he's a made man, and there's more contracts coming. If he doesn't win that Super Bowl, eventually they'll replace him and move off of him.
I'll say this. The contracts, the total guaranteed and the average guarantee per year are probably what I'm going to pay most attention to. Now, that's not going to catch like a viral tweet or whatever else, and everybody wants to talk about that APY number. But if you go look at Jalen Hurts, like I want that to be the blueprint for this Brock Purdy deal, where, when Jalen Hurts got his deal, it was up amongst the league leaders in APY. I think it was like 51 million or whatever. But whenever you looked at the guaranteed per year, it was like $20 million a year. Like, there are outs all over this place. There are ways to renegotiate so the cap hits don't happen. His average guarantee for a year was like nothing compared to Kirk Cousins, compared to Herbert, compared to Love, compared to everybody else. So don't get upset. Whoever's watching, listening to this, which you're awesome. Appreciate the support. Larry does a great job. And a happy early birthday to the legend, Larry, by the way.
Thank you.
But pay attention to the details. I know everybody's, whatever the graphic that gets caught viral on Instagram or wherever, that's going to be and shape the narrative of the conversation. But I'm just going to ask you guys, dig deeper. Look a little bit past that. Pay attention to average per year, where the outs are. That will determine the long-term sustainability of the 49ers cap situation with Brock Purdy. So please, 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 if I could just implore anything, dig a little bit deeper, and trust me, that's going to tell the story, not how much per year. That's not what's important here.
Yeah, no, this is, if you said predict the Brock Purdy contract, I would say it's going to be two different days. The first day, it's going to be like, what?
Yep.
He got $64 million, blah, 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 blah. And then the second day is going to be, oh, there's an out here. There's an out here. The team's covered there. The team's covered here. And then suddenly it's going to be like, well, it's not that big a deal. We always get sticker shock on these quarterback contracts. We titled the stream, what is the real reason the 49ers failed this season? So I'll just throw that to you, John. In your mind, what is the real reason the 49ers? It's never one thing, and injuries are part of it. But injuries aside, what is the real reason? Because as you said and stated very, accurately, The 49ers weren't the only team that suffered injuries. The Lions actually had more injuries and a larger percentage of their cap on the injured list, and they're, headed to the playoffs as the number 1 seed, and the road to the bowl rolls through Ford Field. So what is the real reason in your mind the 49ers failed this season? Or if you want to give 1A, that's, or, whatever direction you want to take it. But what is it in your mind? What was it?
The top 2 things for me, and it's not going to include injuries. It's misuse of personnel and talent evaluation. Again, Aaron Banks should not have been playing this year. Devondre Campbell should not be playing this year. He should have been a backup. D. Winters has proven time and time again he is more athletic. He's a better coverage guy, which you're going to put him in man anyway. You might as well use him there. Instead, you had Devondre Campbell take all of his snaps all year until Devondre Campbell removed himself. Jair Brown, oh my gosh, was so he completely regressed, which every single player on the defense regressed under Sorensen, except for Diamador Lenore. And Diamador Lenore only got better because guess who his position coach was the previous year? It was Nick Sorensen. Anyway, Nick Sorensen, I love him. Great guy. Just please don't ever call plays again. So the talent evaluation was huge. Misuse of funds. I love Ricky Pearsall. He's incredible. But whenever you don't draft one offensive tackle in back-to-back years of the draft and you're signing guys off the street to finish the season, that's not good. You didn't draft one defensive lineman. Look at our defensive line. Look at the defensive tackles. That's an issue as well. So misuse of resources, draft, and capital, salary cap capital, and not identifying guys that should be getting more playing time early. I felt like that was a miss. And then if I have to say, again, abandoning who you are from a coaching standpoint. We talked about abandoning the run game. Defensively, we're a zone team. Why are we running so much man? Why do we never blitz? It's what it is. So whenever your core principles and how you build your roster inside out, and then you abandon those principles in games, bad things are going to happen. We're not a pass-heavy team. We're not a man coverage defense. Those aren't who we were built upon, who this team was drafted, signed, and how we coach our teams. And then you change that. And I think that's why that cost you so bad. Obviously, injuries are a big deal. I'm not saying injuries aren't, but I mean, shoot, you look at the Cardinals at a game that didn't even matter. The Cardinals and the 49ers had the exact same amount of players on IR. Obviously, our players are better than theirs, but we still got blown out of the building. The NFC West, I think, had its worst year in maybe a decade. One player from the NFC West made All-Pro, Krug. One, and we had him, and we finished dead last. The worst year of the NFC West, and we finished last. It's not just about injuries.
They got destroyed in the division. There's no question. It's funny. It's like to say that injuries beat the Niners would be like saying a rainstorm destroyed my house. Well, wait a second. A rainstorm destroyed your house? What happened? Well, I didn't have a roof, and my house filled up with water. So just a regular rainstorm ruined your house. No, a regular rainstorm didn't ruin your house. Your lack of a fucking roof ruined your house. That's actually what ruined. It rains all the time. Guys get injured all the time. The lack of depth is what burned them. To me, there's 5 reasons, 5 absolute reasons that the 49ers are where they were at this year. Number 1, you traded DeForest Buckner. You replaced him with Javon Kinlaw. That's number 1. Number 2 was the 2021 draft where you traded, 3 picks to get Trey Lance, and you started your draft Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, Trey Sermon, Ambry Thomas. So you went 1 for 4, and when you mix in the extra picks, it's really more like 1 for 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that's number 2. Number 3, the 22 draft. You had 3 picks in the top 105. You went Drake Jackson, Ty Davis Price, Danny Gray. That's 0 for 3.
That's strikeout right there, man.
That's goodbye. Blew by you. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, reason number 4, the 23 draft. Again, you had 3 picks in the top 101. What did you do? Jair Brown, Jake Moody, Cam Latu.
0 for 3.
So,
Jair, I still hold out.
I'm giving him a 1 for 3. But between those 3 drafts, you went So in those three drafts, 21, 22, 23, the Niners went 2 for 12 in the first three rounds of the draft with nobody who earns a second contract, most likely, and two okay starters in Jair Brown and Aaron Banks, who probably you're looking to upgrade from. So that's decision 4. And decision 5 was signing Javon Hargrave and depleting their depth to try to cover for the first fuck up, which was trading DeForest Buckner. So really, it was the Niners have made like 2 mistakes, but they keep getting burned because they compile their mistakes. Their 2 mistakes were they should never have traded DeForest Buckner, and they did. And they've been chasing their tail ever since. And they never should have bypassed scouting the 21 or the 17 draft or 18 draft or whatever it was for Mahomes. So
Stanford, got to get Solomon Thomas, John Lynch.
Yeah, Solomon Thomas. I mean, that was bad. So there you go. And by the way, to make things worse, so the Niners 2 for 12 in rounds 1, 2, and 3 in 21, 22, and 23 drafts. Here's what Detroit did in 21, 22, and 23 in the first 3 or 4 rounds. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams, Kirby Joseph, Sam Laporta, and Brian Branch.
They haven't missed. And they're on the opposite side of that trade with Matt Stafford, where we traded away picks. They collected picks, right?
Right.
They traded away
Goff.
Yeah, and got Goff back as well. And so they haven't missed. And that's a big reason. Like, there was one point this year, actually, heading into the 49ers-Lions game, they had 17 guys who had started on their defense that were on IR at the same time. Now, were they the caliber of guys that we had? No. But you turn on Dan Campbell, you're not hearing injuries. And I'm glad Shanahan is our coach, and I'm looking forward to him being a part of our future moving forward. I'm not one of those Shanahan should be on the hot seat guy. Now, you have another year like this, then yes. But your identity and what you say matters. It really, really does. And whether that's to the team or to whatever. But again, whenever you just say injuries, that doesn't tell the story, and it doesn't allow you to correct the problems that your team has that got you where you are. It's your analogy of the rainstorm didn't ruin the house. The fact that you don't have a roof and where you built your house, that is the issue. Commit to who you are, run game on offense, zone team on defense. That is who we are. That is who the 49ers are. And if you do that, you build around that, I think that's huge. Got to start hitting on some picks. Niners have a pretty good looking draft as far as draft capital goes this year. Better than it's been since, man, you might have to go all the way back to that Nick Bosa draft. Got to make it count. And last year's draft was great. And so maybe the ship is starting to turn right. I mean, obviously, this rookie class was incredible. You stack another one of those. Now you're comparing those to the Detroit teams that we mentioned. And sticking with that Detroit theme, they're not going to be drafting early like they have been. So they don't have multiple firsts. That's done as well. So maybe this balances it out a little bit, hopefully.
Well, and some of these guys picked themselves, right? Bosa picked himself. Hutchinson picked himself, except Trent Baalke took Trayvon Walker. And he still has a job. Penei Sewell picked himself to some degree, I guess. I mean, I shouldn't say that because there were options there, but some of those super high picks, it's like you kind of fall into them, almost like an NBA draft type situation. But yeah, don't tell me that injuries ruined your season. Don't tell me that a light drizzle in California flooded your house. You didn't have a roof. You missed in the draft 20 times in this regime in the first 3 rounds. And guess what? It comes home to roost eventually, and it's come home to roost. All right, I'm a solution guy. So, and I know you are as well. The Niners, the key dates to remember are April 24th, that's the draft. March 12th, that's the beginning of free agency. Let's talk free agency for a minute. I don't know what they're going to have to spend. They're going to pay their quarterback a lot. They're going to probably cut a bunch of guys. Javon Hargrave is going to be gone. I don't really believe this whole talk. Well, he'll be back at a lesser. No, he won't. He'll be gone. He's gone. But let's talk about free agents. Is there I have a list of 10 free agents that I think make sense for the 49ers that are not the top free agents in the market and are not going to command huge dollars, but I think could solve some of their problems. I don't know if you've done a free agent look or not, but I'll throw a few out, and you're more than welcome to throw any out that you like or comment as you see fit, or if you have your own list, awesome. But here's my 10 free agents of interest. Okay. Tommy Tremble, the Carolina Panther tight end, Notre Dame kid. I think he play a little backup fullback. If you had Tremble, you could cut juice. They don't have a true second tight end. Tremble's a try-hard guy. He's a try-hard blocker, but he really does try hard, and he's a decent receiver. He's kind of an athletic kid all the way around. So,
and he kind of lost his job at Carolina when Sanders came in there. So I don't think that Carolina's going to work to re-sign him, but I know that all the coaching staffs that have been through there have been high on him, and he's kind of like one of those ultimate Swiss Army knife guys that you talked about. So I'm very high on Trimble. I think that's a perfect fit.
And that's your Texas guy, right? Jatavion Sanders showed up there, and suddenly Trimble was out of a gig. All right, receiving core. John, you coach football. You know this. It doesn't matter if we're talking high school football, college football, semi-pro football, Canadian football, pro football. Wide receivers have to complement one another ideally. So you can't have all burners. You got to have somebody who's got some hands. You can't have all guys with great hands that can't run. Somebody's got to stretch the field vertically. So you got to have a blend. And to me, the piece that the Niners don't have is they don't have that guy that can blow by you. They don't have Tutu Atwell. They don't have Rondale Moore. They don't have McCole Hardman. But all three of those guys are free agents, and they're all relatively cheap. I know Shanahan likes Rondale Moore because I remember talking to him about Rondale Moore when Rondale was with Arizona, and he had nothing but great things to say about Rondale, who might be a great low-cost replacement for a Deebo Samuel if you're looking for that runner receiver kind of jack of all trades, but somebody with a little bit more speed. I need some speed. I need some Tutu Atwell. I can have JJ. I can have Pearsall. I can have, tight ends and that kind of thing. But I need somebody who can blister the track at 4.3 plus, sub 4.3 burner to really Xavier Worthy. Like, did the Niners need Ricky Pearsall or did they need Xavier Worthy? They needed both. They needed both. They needed Xavier Worthy
Slayton as well. Somebody I would add to your list. I think he's a great vertical threat. He's a bigger bodied vertical threat.
4.39 though coming out.
Stretches. Yeah, he stretches the field.
I like that too because I'm starting to think Darius Slayton's just coming into his own. Also, I think he's been people think he's worse than he is because he played with Daniel Jones, and Jones is a circus. Okay, a couple quarterbacks. Zach Wilson and Drew Lock. I think Shanahan likes Zach Wilson. Steve Young, who knows Zach Wilson, told me that Zach Wilson's dream is to be a Niner and to play for Shanahan. So now that he's kind of washed out, he's probably going to make about $4.5 to $6 million in that range. Probably what the Niners will have for a backup. I think from being around Brock Purdy, that the one thing I would say about Brock Purdy is pay him and make him your guy and support him. But never go forward without somebody there that can do the job as well, because this kid elevates on competition. He's his greatest, most, lasting trait is the competitive fire that he has. If you make him compete, you're going to get a much better player. And so I can't have Brandon Allen and Dobbs and guys that just can't compete. I need somebody there, whether it be older guy like a Cousins or a Rodgers, or a younger guy like a Drew Lock or a Zach Wilson or a Mac Jones. I need somebody there that can actually do the job so that I get the best out of Brock.
Yeah, I like that. And I don't want to go the Brandon Allen route anymore. Like, I want a specimen. All right. So somebody that either has a rocket arm, has mobility, has a bigger bodied, something like that. So, like, I like your Drew Lock. I do like that. Somebody like, there's not a whole lot out there.
Like Zach Wilson, though.
I do like Zach Wilson.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But if Sean Payton can't turn him into somebody that can compete. I don't know what Shanahan could do. I know those are two of probably the most quarterback-friendly schemes in the NFL as far as from a head coaching, offensive play caller standpoint. And yeah, I don't know about Zach Wilson, but they're going to have a lot of information on him because obviously they studied him in the draft. They took Trey Lance. You've got the coaching staff from the Jets who are all your buddies. So I would be mad with that, but I want somebody that is big, strong, fast to try to raise that bar. I want the offset from Purdy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I do. I think it makes a lot of sense. And okay, I'll give you one more offense, and I got 3 on defense. The Niners have some good young linemen. I think they've got some. I even kind of like some of the guys they just picked up. I mean, even this kid Hennessy, Charlie Heck might be okay. I mean, they have. I mean, I like Puni. I like Nugent. I think Zakel has some talent. I thought he did some much. I thought Zakel looked really pretty damn good, to be honest, in this late stretch he just had. But to me, there's a culture-changing type guard available, and that's Kevin Zeitler. And he's playing for Detroit right now. And he played for, I think, Baltimore before that. I think he played for Cincinnati before that. He was he a Longhorn or a Buckeye? I forget where
he's a Buckeye, yeah.
Buckeye, yeah. But
thanks for reminding me about that game last night, Larry. I appreciate that.
Oh, we're going to talk more about that game because I have a favorite Longhorn that I got to get your thoughts on because I'm a huge college guy. I love college, but I'm an A&M fan. So, so I'll say horns down.
Oh, wow.
But Zeitler is the kind of brawling, tough guy guard that they need. They need somebody to blow somebody off the ball. They need an offensive lineman. That offensive line room, I need a little bit more nasty in that offensive line room. It's a very nice room with some nice people. I want somebody who I wanted Zach Frazier in this last draft instead of Ricky Pearsall.
Oh God, I'm with you there, man. I love Frazier.
I wanted him so bad. I was like, you know what? If they could have gotten Frazier and Puni, they would have had a much better year. Instead, they went Pearsall. But Frazier had a great year with the Steelers. But I love this. I love Zeitler. Now he's 34. He's older. He's probably gonna have some injuries. But this guy is just. He will fight you inside of a phone booth. He's tough as hell, and he's the kind of tone-setting offensive lineman that the Niners are going to have to add if they want to get out of this. We can't get a yard when we need a yard. I mean, right now they're sorry. I mean, they are sorry on the offensive line. They cannot get a yard if they need a yard. If you have Zeitler, you will be able to get that yard.
And you put him at left guard, right? So keep Puni at right guard.
I'd have to do some investigation as far as his comfort on as far as which guard spot to play. But I got Puni at one guard and I got Zeitler at the other guard, and I'm not sure which. Probably Zeitler is be my right guard.
Okay, and if another name, if you want that physical kind of mover, tone setter, Tevin Jenkins, another guy that fits our scheme.
Oak State, the Bears. I mean, he struggled initially knowing who to block and just figuring it out.
And then they kicked him inside, and he was a beast.
Right, he's a road grader, is what he is. Yeah, no, I love Tevin Jenkins. Yeah, no, and it's funny. They made it sound early on in his career like this guy can't play. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? This guy is a road grader.
Mean.
You just got to get him in the right spot. And that's a great name because he's a young veteran. All right, 3 guys on defense, 2 that's been Niners before: DJ Jones, DJ Reed, and. DJ Jones, I don't really think they even need DJ Jones anymore. In a lot of ways, I think Evan Anderson is DJ Jones. But I do love DJ. He's a great dude, and that I would be interested at the right price in DJ Jones. And I love DJ Reed. And if you bring in Saleh, who had him with the Jets, or Ulbrich, who just came from the Jets, could you maybe get DJ Reed to come with? I mean, he's a feisty, tough. This kid's very, very confident. I think he's kind of one of the more underrated players in pro football.
Yeah, he's a fun player. And, Shanahan kind of got greedy with his roster moves, and that's how he lost them. Tried stashing them on IR for the year. We couldn't do that. But I like both those. I'll throw in there Poona Ford. Again, I'm sticking with my Longhorn guys.
I love Poona.
He's just a run stuffer. Like,
where was he this year? Buffalo?
Yeah, he was in for Harbaugh with the Chargers.
Chargers.
So,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Just
No,
straight
Puna's
run stuffer.
Puna is an old school Jerry Ball, nose guard. Puna's great. I love Puna. That's it. His functional strength is unbelievable. You're thinking Puna. You're thinking run D. I was thinking try to make Philly worse. What about picking off Milton Williams, who's
I
a
could tell
really
you this.
good pass rusher as an interior guy?
One of my kind of negatives in my personal life is two of my best friends are Eagles fans. So that's a huge flaw in my character.
Right.
But both of which who I've coached with and know football very well, they live and swear by Milton Williams. Like, he is one of the tone setters, culture builders of their team. And so, like, yes, that is somebody that I think would fit here. Now, the last Eagles guy you brought over didn't work out too well, but Milton Williams I think would be a relatively cheap signing, but would definitely factor in the rotation. And I think defensive tackle, if I could have one solid vet that could stop the run or pass rush, and then you've got to spend one of your top 3 picks on defensive tackle this year. I think that is a priority.
Yeah. I remember, I can't remember who the other guy was, but there was an argument that they caught on day 3 of the draft where Howie Roseman outweighed Tom Donahoe, and Howie wanted Milton and Donahoe wanted another defensive tackle. And Donahoe was fried, and they showed it, and you could see Roseman talking with his hands like, hey, but Milton Williams was the pick. He was an incredible athlete, and he just needed to come into his own. And sure enough, he has. Okay. So the 49ers, by the way, the 49ers have $50.096 million in carryover cap space. Obviously, a lot of that's earmarked for Brock Purdy. I saw the other day, I was so busy that I couldn't jump in, but I saw the other day, John Chapman's going live. He's doing a mock draft. And I thought, I smiled because I thought, you know what, John and I have done many. I think that's how we might have gotten together. We might have done
I think so.
Together in April. I think I started the channel in like March, and I wanted to do mock drafts, and you were the guy. We were doing some mock drafts. So I gotta throw it out to you. If you've done mock drafts, that means you probably already have some favorites. Give me some John Chapman draft favorites.
If I could just have one thing, it would be to draft offensive or defensive line in the first round. Like, I don't even care where, because we have needs, right? Whether it's an offensive tackle, whether it's a defensive end, whether it's a defensive tackle. I don't think that there's a guard or a center that warrants that kind of number 11 pick. But even if you do take a tackle and you want to kick them inside until Trent retires or whatever, that's cool too. I ain't got no problem with that. So obviously that would be huge. Now, I'm a huge Mykel Williams fan out of Georgia, defensive end. And I know a lot of the big boards have him kind of in that 15 to 20 range. But I think that he is the ideal high upside ceiling. He's a Bosa height, weight, speed type guy. You know what I mean? And so to have that kind of complementary thing on the other side, I think the Niners have never had that. And I think Leonard Floyd's had some good moments this year, not very consistent. I think Mykel could be that true 3-down defensive end opposite Bosa. I would like that. Kelvin Banks would be my pick, offensive tackle from Texas, but I think he goes too high. I don't think he's going to be there at 11.
Now, a lot of people after the game last 2 nights ago were like, Abdul Carter, and Abdul Carter is amazing. I'm looking at the draft simulator as we speak, and I just typed it in real quick. This is who they have going in front of the Niners. Shador Sanders 1, Tedoroa McMillan 2, Cam Ward 3, Travis Hunter 4, Ashton Gianti going 5 to Jacksonville. Wow, that's much higher than I thought. Shavon Revel, the corner from East Carolina, who's got a lot of talent, going to the Raiders at 6. The guy that you just named, Mykel Williams, who's a total blue chip athlete. What an athlete he is. I mean, this guy's just looks like he's been weaned on a Nautilus machine. He's going 7. Malachi Starks, who I think is going to be an all-pro free safety, is going 8. Abdul Carter, who's just think of Micah Parsons, is going 9. James Pierce from Tennessee, the edge rusher, who, really, really highly rated by a lot of the recruiting people. He's going 10. So the Niners are sitting on the board at 11 in this mock. Mason Graham is there. Will Johnson from Michigan's there. Kelvin Banks, the big tackle from Texas, is there. Luther, Beast of Burden from Missouri, is there. Colston Loveland, the fantastic tight end from Michigan, is there. Will Campbell, if you don't like Banks, Will Campbell's there. Gigantic Tyler Warren from Penn State is there. You mentioned no guards, but I agree with you. But this Tyler Booker from Bama is beastly. I mean, he is a fantastic player. And then Jalen Walker, the Butkus Award winner, is down there as well. I love him. Walter Nolan is down late first round. Is Mason Graham going to be on the board when the Niners pick? And if he is, what do you see there? Do you see Justin Smith? What is Mason Graham in your mind? He's this barrel-chested 320-pound guy who doesn't look all that athletic, but then when you watch the film, it's like this guy is like doesn't do anything wrong ever.
And he can play everywhere. He even played, he had 40 snaps. His snap count's not high in Michigan, Georgia, Texas guys. Usually their snap counts aren't high because they're rotating so much. They literally have like 2 full fleets they send out there and rotate. So only 1,200 snaps, but he's 21. So he's young. The versatility's off the charts. We'll see what he weighs in. Probably going to be about 6'2", 305, 310. But he can play edge. And he kind of got the Bosa treatment where he would go wherever the hell he wanted to and could rush from wherever he wanted to and had success everywhere. So whether he's shade, 3 technique, you want to play him 4-eye, run stuffer, it doesn't matter. He is just incredible. So I tell people this. I love mock drafts. And I love it when people send them and ask me their questions. There's a few players where I'm like, look, dude, Niners have no chance. And that's Abdul Carter and that's Mason Graham. I just cannot.
I agree. I kind of feel like, but then you see these simulators and those guys fall in their lap and you're like,
love it.
Well, I mean, the only thing I'll say about Mason Graham is if somebody looks at him and says, man, I mean, there's not a lot of twitch. I could see him falling, a few spots. But when I say that, I mean from like 2 or 3 to 7, not to, I don't think he's going to fall to 11.
No, I don't think it. He's played too well in big time games, and he showed up and was a freshman All-American on a championship level team, and he is just not. His play hasn't gone down; it's increased. So the versatility, whether you run an odd front, even front, he fits. And every single team needs defensive tackles. It's now a premium position. After that Christian Wilkins deal, you're now including defensive tackle in those premium corner, wide receiver, offensive tackle. Those positions are now premium, and that's what goes top 10. I love Tyler Warren. He is incredible, but I just do not believe in drafting the tight end that high. Like you look at even, the Raiders with Brock Bowers, which incredible year. Unbelievable. How'd that work out for him? Back-to-back years spending a top 35 pick on a tight end. I don't think that's the way really to build. I think back into the first round, it makes sense, but the salary cap implications do not help you if you do that. And I think the Niners have to calculate that in. Love Tyler Warren. But again, O-line, D-line. If it's O-line, D-line, I'm happy. I would love Will Campbell. I do have Banks rated ahead of him. And I think Banks is a better fit for Shanahan's scheme. But Will Campbell, you want a nasty, you want tone setter. That is his upper body violence. It's pretty mean. The length
LSU
and
kid.
The attitude, the LSU kid, Will Campbell tackle. I mean, he is mean, and he put a lot of people on the ground consistently.
We all have our favorites, and I'll show you one of mine. This guy real well because he's on your favorite team. I think this guy is a steal in the 5th round.
It's Jake Majors, isn't it? No? Oh, you're going David Benda.
David
Ooh.
Benda, who last night had an interception in the game against the Buckeyes. This guy his parents are from Sierra Leone. This guy is a incredible athlete. And when he goes to the combine, he's going to show that he's an incredible athlete. What do you think? What do you think?
No,
David Benda, like maybe day 3, 5th round, 6th round. I mean, I think he's, I don't think he's going to be a top 3 round guy. I think he's going to be around 4, 5, 6.
I think that's about where he goes. His testing is going to be key, but the tape in big time situations, you look at the ASU game, you look at the OSU game, he showed up in the most clutch situations. And everybody's going to talk about the interception. That wasn't his two best plays of the game last night. He showed up on third downs. It ended drives. I think 3 consecutive series in a row. He ended the drive on third down. I mean, he's a do-it-all. Coverage is there. And in today's NFL, if you can't cover, you can't play linebacker. He fits that mold. I'm going to say this, and first time I've thought this out. David Benda is kind of the antithesis to Tatum Bethune. You know, Tatum Bethune's like that thumper, just old school, whatever.
Doesn't run great, but he,
yeah, he's
but Benda, I think, runs
special
better.
Teams coverage, kind of do it all. You plug and play wherever. I wish his size was a little bit better, so he's kind of more of a hybrid safety type guy, but he's that DFF role. That's kind of what he's going to be.
Is there a player in this draft that you really like? That you're like, everybody's got their favorites. I'll give you one more that I just love. If you don't have one,
Let's go.
The Niners need a tackle. All right, badly need a tackle. And a lot of Niner fans have said this to me a few times already this offseason. They got to go tackle in the first round. No, they don't. They don't have to go. You don't have just because maybe tackle's your number one need. Still doesn't mean that you got to go in the first round. If there's somebody that you like here's the guy that I like. I like Anthony Belton from NC State, and I'm going to share the screen and show you Anthony Belton. This guy's got a lot of talent. 74, long arms. NC State, I think, has done a good job at teaching line play the last few years. They've had some really well coached players coming out of that program from the Wolfpack. This guy, to me, this is probably a pick around in the 70s, somewhere around then. But 330 pounds, 6'6", really great feet, very, very athletic. I like Anthony Belton.
I like that you brought up great feet. Do you know what his nickname is?
No,
Krug? His nickname is Escalade because he's so big and he moves so smooth. So like,
that's great.
Yeah, such a cool dude. And yeah, he's played a lot. 32 starts at left tackle. Now, the way he's built, this dude could play all over the place. He's got the athleticism check to play left tackle. He can play right tackle. I think he can play 4 spots, both guards, both tackle spots. So the versatility is there. The experience is at 32 starts. I like that. Fun player. Very, very fun player. Now, you asked me the guy that I like.
Yeah, who do you like? I'll call him up here.
This is one of my hardest to name players, defensive end out of Ole Miss, Princely Umanmielen. He is
what an athlete.
Speed, 6'4", 250. And he just is off the edge.
Didn't he transfer? Wasn't he at FSU?
Yeah, he was born and raised in Austin, Texas. I don't know how the hell we got him out of Texas. But yeah, he bounced around, transferred from Ole Miss. He's at Ole Miss now, but he had a lot of spots. He was at Florida, then he went to Ole Miss. It has just been successful everywhere. He is the Twitch, right? The Dane Brugler puts out like the Beast, all their best athletes and all that, the freak list.
Right, the freaks,
that dude's there. He's on there. So 10.5 sacks this recent year, and Ole Miss defense was just pinning your ears back in pass rush. So you don't have to worry about his pass rush ability. It's the other stuff. But he wasn't even bad in the run grade. He had an 81 run grade. But Princely Umanmielen for Ole Miss, that is one of the guys where I'm like, dude, you get that dude in the second round. If you do go tackle, or if you do go offense or defensive tackle the first round, man, this is an edge class in the second round where there is depth. And yeah, you just see
he wore
no
number
bad
1.
weight on him.
Yeah,
no
this
bad
guy's
weight
ripped. He's super ripped. And his movement ability is just off the charts.
It's like this dude could have been a running back if he wanted to. You know what I mean? He's built like Derrick Henry style and that twitch, but you're gonna get paid a lot more money as a pass rusher.
Why don't we stay right there? I'll see your Umanmielen. And again, I think that's how you say it. Let me see if I can.
I'm a Texas guy, so pronunciations are that's not my thing.
But you're a teacher.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I get in trouble all the time, man.
Are you teaching in California, by the way?
No, no longer teaching.
No longer teaching.
I taught in Southern California for 6 years, but no longer teaching. Just doing this full time now, and very thankful, very lucky.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you burn out on teaching?
COVID was the killer, man. I ain't gonna lie. I was not one of those that survived I went back 1 year after COVID, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn into this angry teacher, and that's not who I want to be. I want to make a positive impact. And right now, my positive impact is leaving this building and not yelling at kids anymore. So that's what it is.
Well, you probably made a good decision. You probably made a good decision on that. I got another guy that I really love in this draft, and you mentioned a guy who played at Ole Miss. I'm going to go with number 89 for Ole Miss. Let me see if I can share the screen on this. Wait a second. You guys are going to love this one. Let's see. He transferred from Auburn to Ole Miss, and he goes by this is a two-way player as far as I'm concerned. This guy's going to be a two-way player in the pros. Okay. His name's JJ Pegues. Okay. And I'll make it a little bigger here. He's a defensive. Well, I guess we're not going to make it any bigger. He's a defensive tackle. He transferred from Auburn. Ole Miss has been using this guy as a short yardage running back. And he's just a crazy athlete, and he has not been denied. Like whatever it is, if they've handed it to him like 5 times on the goal line, he's got 5 touchdowns. If they've handed it to him like 10 times on third downs, he's got 10 first downs. He's never denied. He's about 6'3", 6'4", about 310 pounds, but he's just this rare, crazy athlete that even at 310 pounds is at like full tilt, full speed, and like 2 steps like a sprinter. So they've used him. Lane Kiffin's used this guy as their short yardage fullback. If I drafted this guy, I'd draft him as a 4th round pick, defensive tackle, and he is one of the reasons I'm saying goodbye to Juice. I'll let Garendo do some other Juice stuff, and I'll let JJ Pegues here do the rest of it. I'm tired of having a Pro Bowl fullback and not being able to run inside the 5. To me, it's totally unacceptable that you're a horrible short yardage team and you are employing a fullback. You know, another team's using that pick on a 4-3 receiver. You're putting a fullback on the field, and you can't even utilize him to run and control the football and run teams out and execute in short yardage. So to me, the number one guy that's got to go in this offseason is Juszczyk.
Yeah, and he already took the pay cut, and so we'll see what that is. But still voted the team captain, the players love him. We'll see what happens. But your guy JJ, how do you pronounce his last name? Pegues? Yeah, he's a fun guy. Honor roll kid. I think that's huge. That's one of the things I always track. 2 years ago, 85% of the 49ers 90-man roster were all received some type of all academic or honor roll at some point in college. So he checks that box. He won the Spirit and Courage Award for Ole Miss. And so, you're talking about a guy that's a locker room guy, versatility. That's the staple that is John Lynch. He has that in spades. Fun player. Ole Miss has some great defensive fits for sure this really year.
Is there another player that stands out to you? I got one more that I'll give you. I like a tandem of players for Nebraska.
Oh,
Ty Robinson for Nebraska, who wears number 9, and Nash Hutmacher.
Oh yeah, Hutmacher, yeah.
Who wears number 0. He's a 0 technique. I want both these guys. I would bypass Mason Graham early to trade back, and then I would get more picks and see if I could draft this guy, Ty Robinson, and Nash Hutmacher. I'm going to see if I can find a picture of the two of them together. But this guy,
I want to
guy's
say this real
amazing.
quick about their numbers. That's a Matt Rule staple. He did it at Temple. He did it at Baylor. The numbers signify the players vote for the toughest players on the team, and the lower the number is the most feared player. So the 0 and 5 matter. Those are the voted on by players, badasses. And so, yeah, that is well said, Larry, because these are the guys that go out there and are the toughest people on the team.
This guy's like 318 pounds is Ty Robinson. There's a little JJ Watt here. I mean, this guy is just a beast. He's just an absolute beast. And
two-time Osborne Award winner. That should carry some weight.
What's the award?
Two-time Osborne Award winner. That's the number one award for Nebraska. Like,
okay,
that's
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So,
and then the other one is just this Nash Hutmaker is got to be. I mean, this guy was an all-conference wrestler who like never lost. The guy never lost. And here's a picture of him in his wrestling. We'll StreamYard this and you can take a look at this kid. This kid doesn't lose. I love wrestlers. Here's why. Wrestlers, it's one-on-one, and you either win or you lose.
And always great leverage. Always great leverage. Always great balance.
And you take it personally. Here is Nash Hutmacher, who's a nose guard.
That's intimidating.
For Nebraska. And this kid is just awesome as a wrestler, as leverage. I think you could get Ty Robinson in like the 5th round, 4th round, 3rd round, somewhere in the mid rounds. And I think you could get Nash Hutmacher late. And I think these two behemoths inside could really control the inside. The Niners need some old school throwback badasses, and Nash Hutmacher and Ty Robinson fit the bill.
I'm a fan of what Nebraska's done. I know they ain't winning too many games and whatnot, but
sometimes it looks like Brock Lesnar. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Look like Brock Lesnar.
I like that.
Is there? So who else did you go with in your mock? Was there anybody that you really liked, or watching these playoffs, watching Texas, watching Ohio State, watching Penn State, watching Notre Dame? Is there anybody that you've seen in this bowl season that you're like, man, this guy? Look at this guy.
Yeah, I think, we went through free agency and then some draft guys. You got to get a center. You cannot move forward with just what you have on the roster. Even though I do like Drake Nugent, I think his career trajectory is kind of like what we currently have in Brindle, where he needs to serve a couple years, then fight for a spot eventually. But Ryan Kelly, Drew Dahlman, if you can get one of those guys in free agency, they're going to cost a lot, but I would be very, very happy. But if you can't, there are some centers that fit exactly what the 49ers do. There's the kid from USC. There's McLaughlin, who didn't play last night for Ohio State. He's injured. And then there's Jake Majors, who did play last night for Texas. 54, now 56 career starts at center. Like, you're getting experience, you're getting tough, a hard-nosed player. And so, like, there are options where the 49ers, whether you go vet or whether you have to add a center. You have to add a center. You cannot move forward with just Jake Brindle there. That is, again, back to my biggest issue with why the team is where it is. It's not it. We've seen enough.
Let's react to a couple things, and then we'll bolt for the door. There's a report out that Robert Saleh is the front runner for the Niners defensive coordinator position, and that Brandon Staley is listed as a strong internal candidate. Josina Anderson reported that the 49ers were expected to offer Robert Saleh the job. Now, Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano add to the news that Saleh is the front runner. Writing on ESPN.com, both had information about the Niners search and a possible plan B if Saleh should decide to take a head coaching job. Graziano confirms what we've heard from his sources, that Saleh is the favorite for the Niner job. That's also in line with what Josina Anderson is reporting. Saleh's interviews and opportunities with, for a head coaching job are the main obstacle. Jacksonville or the Raiders are the two spots where he's interviewed. The Jaguars still have Trent Baalke as their GM.
That's funny. That's just
that
funny
is
to hear.
funny. I knew I would outlive Doug Peterson. You don't outlive Trent Baalke wearing a visor. All right, I'll tell you that right now.
He is the NFL equivalent to Littlefinger on Game of Thrones. I don't know if you ever he just stabs everybody in the back, man.
Oh, he's a total shank. His
Oh,
name should be Shank Baalke.
gosh.
Yeah, he's such a shank. Okay, so what do you think? Would you be happy with Saleh as the defensive coordinator? To me, Saleh seems like the best choice because I think even though Shanahan said he was open to switching, defensive schemes altogether, I really think they want to keep Chris Kasarik and keep their wide nine. And Saleh, I think, is probably the best coordinator they could get that would also enable that. So I see Saleh and I don't think Saleh is going to get one of those head coaching jobs. So I think the Saleh to the Niners to me is live. What do you think?
I would like it. I think there's 4 guys I'd be really happy with. Saleh and Ulbrich. Obviously, that's not changing your scheme. There's a lot of continuity there. And then if you want to get really creative, then I think Lou Anarumo's the guy. And then I'm going to throw Dennis Allen out there. I think that those are 4 quality, experienced, relatively, some way more than others. But those are the 4 guys that are at the top of my list. I'm not sold on Deshae Townsend just because he has never called plays before. I think, his experience, 10 plus years as a player, 10 plus years as a coach is huge, but he's never been a DC before. I want an experienced DC after going through what I saw with Nick Sorensen. Like, I got a little PTSD from last year. I don't know when I'm going to get over that, but watching the defensive tape and being at the games and it's 3rd down and you just know this is not going to go well. Red zone, not going to go well. I hate that. So I want somebody. Saleh would make a lot of sense if he is available, and I would be very happy for that. But you give me one of those 4, I'm going to be a happy camper.
Nick Sorensen is the originator of my favorite drinking game. See, anytime you just say, "Hey, man, it was just a miscommunication," you got to drink.
Oh,
and it's a great. I mean, you want to get drunk fast? Just listen to a Sorensen presser. Nick, what happened on that? Just a communication breakdown.
Yeah,
Frank,
you're gonna be
just
wasted,
a communication breakdown.
You'll be wasted.
Oh my god. Yeah, seriously. Communication breakdown leads to a drunken night. All right, I'm gonna give you, and we're gonna finish with this. I'll say a name, and you say he's back or he gone. All right, here we go. Deebo Samuel.
Back.
He's back.
That contract's hard to trade. So here's what I always go with. Like, what are you going to do? Get a 3rd round pick for Deebo? What are you going to do? Draft another kicker? No, I'm keeping Deebo.
Okay. Aaron Banks.
Gone.
Jake Brendel.
Back, but won't start most of the year.
Okay.
Contract,
Josh Dobbs.
that's why I'm saying back.
Josh Dobbs.
Gone.
Brandon Allen.
Gone.
Jordan Mason.
He's back. He's a restricted free agent. He's coming back.
A lot of speculation that they're going to trade him. A lot of people have speculated that. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why. Juszczyk.
I'm going to say back. I'm going to say back one more year.
Okay. Trent Williams.
Back.
Javon Hargrave.
Gone. He gone.
Kevin Givens.
Oh, I'm going to say gone, and it breaks my heart. He was in that Bosa, Deebo draft, Greenlaw draft. He's an undrafted free agent, and I love that dude, but I think it's time for him to move on.
Robert Beal.
Oh, he's back. Special teams player of the year, in my opinion.
Leonard Floyd.
Back. I don't think he can get out of that contract.
Dre Greenlaw.
Gosh, breaking my heart. I'm going to say back just because he's my favorite player on the team. Back. I hope they
He's
keep
my
him.
favorite player on the team, too, by the way.
I freaking love that man.
The guy's amazing. He just built a home in Dallas. There's a lot of talk that he may want to go back there.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Trey.
Just bought
Don't
a home
do that,
in
Trey.
Dallas. I'm not sure he built a home. He bought a home. What part of Texas were you in?
Dallas Fort Worth, born and raised,
were,
high school,
okay.
all that fun stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who else? Isaac Yadam.
I think back, not because of corner play, because of special teams play. I think Yadam is that perfect kind of cornerback 4-5, but he was great. He was my third player on special teams player of the year. So he was great at special teams. And I know we're changing things, so that might change, but I like Yadam's versatility and physicality. But yeah, he had some bad games.
Mooney Ward.
He's gone.
Talanoa Hufanga.
I think he's gone, and that sucks. I think he's gone.
Yeah, I think he's gone too. Mitch Wishnowsky.
Gone.
Really?
Gone.
4th round punter? Gone?
Yeah. Highest drafted punter in the NFL. You bring in 2 backups in the year, and they both outperformed him. Yeah, it's time to go. It's time to. I'm not people always talk about Kyle Juszczyk, and I'm like, do you understand the cap for our punter is the same as Kyle Juszczyk next year? Like, we're spending that much on a punter. And he's, if not the injuries, he had 1 good year out of 6. It's time to move on.
Tabor Pepper.
Gone.
Really? Long snapper. Don't go after Debo.
I don't think that he's had a good year this year. Last year was his best year in the pros.
You don't like his snapping?
But you don't go after captains. Don't go after captains on the sidelines. Shanahan never throws anybody under the bus except Steve Wilkes. He threw Tabor Pepper under the bus.
Jake Money Moody.
I think there's a competition in camp, so I think he's on the 90-man roster, but I think they move on.
Sorensen.
Gosh, he should be gone. He sure as hell should not be a special teams coordinator, ever call plays ever again in the NFL. But I think they'll be back because of the Shanahan loyalty program. It's undefeated.
Will there be a shocking move this offseason?
Yeah, I would not be shocked if there's
something that we're not banking on.
Yeah, and the Niners, they do this every year. We had no idea for Hargrave. We had no idea the Buckner trade. We had no idea Joe Staley retired. We had no idea we signed Trent. We had there's a lot of those. And so, yeah, there's got to be a point where it's just like, no way, it's coming. I don't know what it is. I can't predict it, but there's going to be one of those. Man,
we are rolling up. Well, let's hit the supers and we'll bolt for the door. I said we were going to go an hour and it's an hour and 20, but we'll get out of here in the next 10 minutes.
Mad.
Oh, dude, you're the man. You're the man. And we got over 2,000 people watching us in all these different various places. So
you are incredible.
Very cool. Yo Stricken says John is the best. What a pleasant surprise. Invader 49er, Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant. Wasn't a super, but I just liked it so much I threw it out there. Mason Graham is better than Kenneth Grant, but I'll tell you this: Kenneth Grant
wouldn't be bad.
He let's just say both these guys are a whole lot better than Mozzie Smith.
Okay. I get all the no more Michigan players all the time, but I'm just like, you can't do that. There's too many good ones.
Oh, I know. Mozzie couldn't play dead, though. I knew that one. Bro Montana says Juwan Jennings, arguably our best finisher.
Yeah. So much so he gets kicked out of games for doing it.
I asked John Lynch this week. I said, John, you drafted Dre Greenlaw, Juwan Jennings, and Brock Purdy. They're 3 of the greatest competitors in the league today, in my opinion. Did you know that? Was that part of their scouting profile? And how do we replicate that? How do we keep finding if you said to me, what do the Niners really need? They need 3 more Juwan Jennings and 2 more Dre Greenlaws. And if they had that, I would feel great about where they're going. I don't know if they can find that, but the Niners did draft some crazy competitors, and I wonder if they knew it or if they lucked into it. Nobody wants to ever say, hey man, I just lucked into it. I got lucky. Everybody wants to be like, no,
the funny thing about Jennings got kicked off of his college team for going after his coaches on social media.
Right.
You couldn't
probably why he went in the 7th round.
And now he's like the most loyal, never talks trash, never complains. Like, some of it's luck, and you don't know them. These are kids you're drafting. A lot of we forget that these are young men, and A lot of it is luck, Larry. A lot of it is. The good news
Totally.
is we're going to have 10 chances at luck this upcoming year.
If it was up to me, we'd have 15. We got this one from Cranky Paperclip, which is a great handle. Is Larry traveling to Scottsdale for spring training action? You know what? I think I am going to take a little Scottsdale vacation, bring the boys down there, play some golf, watch my Giants get ready to win 77 games. Yeah, you may see me, if they stop one of the Cactus League games and say, excuse me, you pasty guy in center field, please move to right or right center. You're bothering the hitter's backdrop. That will be me with my shirt off in center field.
I love it.
No, I'm 55. I will not be taking my shirt off. But you know what? I am going to spring training. I love me some spring training. Have you ever been to spring training, John?
I haven't been to spring training. I have not. I always coached.
You're a football guy, so you're spring football. You're spring football. Dude, spring training. You got kids too, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, spring training is just, if you like baseball,
love it.
If you like golf, if you like 90-degree weather in March when everybody at home sitting in, 55 mile an hour rainy wind and, that kind of thing. Last year we went, or 2 years ago we went, and I just absolutely had an incredible time. We're going to do it again this year.
That's awesome.
Just like, I was saving the money for a Super Bowl trip to New Orleans, but since we will not be going to New Orleans, we'll go to Arizona.
There we go.
Debster says, love all that you do, John.
Thank you, Debster. You're amazing.
Jeb says, bring Drew Dahlman home. That's Chris Dahlman's son. He's in Atlanta, and he's a really good center. That would be a major upgrade. If they could get Drew Dahlman out of Atlanta, I would absolutely do it because he's a
free agent.
He's a free agent. He's probably going to be out of their price range, but maybe he wants to be here. You never know. Maybe Daddy lives here. I'm not sure where Chris retired to. I know we just had Chris on the show. He was the honorary captain at the Niner game last year or 2 years ago. So I just recently talked to him. He is a principal of a school. And I just
kids
don't
acting
know.
Up there.
I think it's either Central California or Southern California. I'll have to look that up. But maybe Drew would love to be back here in his old college stomping grounds. It'd be great. 49 problems. We need the tight end Tyler Warren in the red zone. How monster. By the way, how good is that? There were all kinds of good tight ends. What do you think of Helm? There's the Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame. There's just good tight ends everywhere. I mean, there were a bunch in these playoffs for sure. Tyler Warren is just, to me, John, I see Gronk. Just a gigantic Gronk kind of a character.
6'6", 260. We'll see what he weighs in at. Hey, he's amazing. I don't think the Niners are going to have a shot at him. I don't think that he goes top 11, and I don't think they should, but he is amazing. He is amazing.
Did you see the play last night where they Wildcat quarterbacked him? He dropped back. There was pressure, and he still ran for almost 9 yards. I mean, he's an impressive player. Claw Daddy Arcade says Tanner McKee for a 4th or a 5th. I was joking with Chase Sr. because he's Chat Sports covers the Niners and the Eagles, or Chase does. And I'm like, hey, man, Tanner McKee. I did the Stanford pregame for a few years. I love Tanner McKee. He's 6'6", and he's accurate as hell, and he throws lasers. He doesn't move all that well, but he's played well in Philly. I don't know did you see Tanner McKee play for the Eagles?
Yeah, he's not a bad. It was a good draft evaluation, pretty clean with upside that was there. It came across in this draft tape for sure. So it makes sense. I would like a little bit more ceiling, but I would not be upset if we got him. I probably wouldn't trade a 4th or 5th for him though, personally, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I don't think I would trade a 4th or 5th for him, but I also don't think the Eagles would take a 4th or 5th for him at this point. I think they like him a lot. I think they realize he's better than Kenny Pickett. Claw Daddy says, after your take with Chase, I watched an hour of his highlights, and dude is a baller. I'd prefer him over Zach Wilson. I mean, Tanner McKee had skin cancer or some, so he always wears like all sleeves and gloves, and he doesn't expose any of his skin to the sun. But man, this guy is 6'6". He's pretty mobile, and he's got just a howitzer, just a fantastic arm. It kind of reminds me a little bit, not arm strength wise, but accuracy wise, of like a Nick Foles. He's very, very accurate. Dale says, Larry, name the quarterbacks that would have succeeded with this team this year in the form it was in. There may be two. Come on, Brock doesn't wear the cape. I agree, but there are only maybe three of those dudes.
Yeah.
Dudes with the DOOD.
I like that spelling better, actually.
I like
the DOOD.
It's like crudes, but dudes. Yeah, Brock regressed this year, but it's funny. Brian Billick said it years ago on the radio, and he's totally right, which is the hardest thing to evaluate in football is the quarterback versus what's going on around the quarterback. Brock ran more this year, but he had to. But
that needs to be talked about. The amount of first downs he
didn't separate. What did you see? Because a lot of people use that, John, as a stat to try to lie to us and gaslight us into telling us the Niners have a really good offensive line. Do you realize that Brock Purdy held the ball for 3.09 seconds this year? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, but he was running all over the field. And did you see what happened when a guy who couldn't run, Brandon Allen, played that Green Bay game? It was like jailbreak on the pocket.
My number one critique of Brock this year, it wasn't a perfect year, but he's still the guy. It should be, is I wish he did check down more often, like we saw in the past, regardless of who the running back is. He didn't like throwing to Jordan Mason. He didn't like throwing to Patrick Taylor. He did like throwing to Garendo, but like he would definitely at times be like, I'm not throwing it to Eric Saubert. And so he would have those options, be like, I ain't throwing it to this guy. Like Brock has trust issues with who he's throwing to. So the injuries affected him that way. But man, Brock was not the reason that this year went the way it went. Now, if you want to talk about the snow game or the rain game, sure, those games, Brock's not great in inclement weather. I think that's a fair assessment, but Brock's the guy. And I don't think that this year was a reflection. He carried this team when the team was at its best to start the season. It was all Brock. And you just can't sustain that with this offensive line. You can't. And you just can't.
Perfectly said. Jedi says, happy birthday. Happy birthday, I think. Well done, LK. Yes, it is. Not today. It's tomorrow, but I appreciate it in advance, Jedi. Appreciate that. Knees says, only game I remember offense closing out a game this year was Garendo in the first Seattle game, I think. Yeah. To me, one of my favorite things to do is to watch an offense run a defense off the field. I love it. I love it. I mean, it's. I can remember some of the greatest Niner wins. When they beat the Bears at Soldier Field in the NFC Championship game, they ran the Bears off the field. When they beat the Carolina Panthers on a Monday Night Football, they ran the Panthers. It was like 13 straight run plays. They ran them off the field. This is years ago when the Panthers had Kerry Collins. But I'm just saying that I like that. When you can stay on the field, possess the ball, and the time just elapses. It's just nothing more debilitating or demoralizing than running somebody off their field. John Muniz says trade for Vita Vea from Tampa Bay. What's it take? Yeah, they're not moving him.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 firsts, and he's getting paid. So he's getting paid $71 million contract. He's up to almost $18 million a year. So.
Go find the next Vita Vea. That's what I would say.
Dale says being a 3-4. He doesn't need to.
He's a 3-4.
We would love him.
Dale says trade back from 11. Trade Bosa while you can. Rebuild with a soft schedule next year. Trade Debo for whatever. Rebuild quickly. What do you think of the idea of? I mean, I definitely would trade back from 11. That's definitely my part of my plan. But what do you think of the idea of trading your best player, like in this case, Bosa?
No, I don't think so. You took all that dead money cap hit. So even if you do trade them, you're still on the short end of the stick or whatever you want to say. Like, I think you build around Bosa. And, I'm not opposed to trading back at 11. But if you can get Will Campbell, if you can get Kelvin Banks, Mason Graham, or Mikael Williams, if one of those 4 are there, I'm not trading no matter what. But
one of those 4 will be there.
And if they're there, if 2 are there, then I'm cool trading back. But if you can get one of those 4, you take the pick. Otherwise, I'm with you, trade back. So you got to see what falls. But if you can get a blue chip at one of those need positions, I think you take it. And that's where I am right now, my draft evaluation. But I'm always for trading back. Always. Yeah. Unless you can get a
trading back is never going to be as popular as trading up because more people know the stars. And but ask yourself this: are the 49ers 1-star non-quarterback away? No, not really. They need a bunch. I would say the Niners. To me, I have their needs as 2 corners, 1 free safety, a kicker, 2 linebackers, 2 defensive tackles, 1 defensive end, a right tackle, a
Right. And
center,
so
2 tight ends, a running back, and a speed receiver,
that's a lot more than
and a
10 or
second
11
quarterback.
picks.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need a 15-man draft class. I really do.
Mhm.
I think, or some combination of 15-man free
Free
agent
agents,
slash
undrafted free agents, all that stuff. Yeah, well
Yep.
said.
49 problems says Larry wants to trade back. Yes, I do. John
I
Muniz
remember
says
the mock
Browns.
draft. I remember the mock
Yeah,
draft.
I'm a trade back monster. John Muniz, Browns no cash, thought on trading for Myles Garrett. See,
Yeah, I don't think they'll trade him.
I just don't. I don't think they're trading him, and I don't think the Niners are in that mode right now.
3 firsts plus.
The Niners went. They missed. You got to look at the. You got to back. Take the macro view. If you back away from the Niners, I just told you they missed 12 times in the first 3 rounds in 21, 22, and 23. Then they went on the tail end of that and added Hargrave. So, and then depleted a lot of their depth to pay for Hargrave. So the Niners are used to be incredibly deep where they had 2 defensive lines. Now they don't. They need their 86 draft. They don't need 1 player like 85. They need an 86 draft. Stephen Draper, Larry and John, what about Sonny Styles, linebacker from Ohio State? I like Simon. I like Simon, the other linebacker who kind of got hurt as a late round guy. Sonny Styles is not bad. He can run. He's a little small. I would say he's not my favorite player in the draft.
Yeah, I haven't done work on him outside of just watching the game live. Linebackers kind of low on my list. I do think that we need them. But, man, I'm digging in the trenches, spending most of my time right now just going through trench tape, both sides.
Blood Moon, who's a regular, says, we need George's replacement. Get the tight end from Penn State. He is him.
He's amazing.
Yeah, Tyler Warren. I could imagine like what George would be saying at the podium all year about Tyler Warren if the Niners drafted him. Be like, oh man, kid's a monster. He's a beast.
He loves his tight end room, man.
He loves his tight end room. And he loves opposing tight ends. Moises Rosales, his thoughts on Houston +3, Bills -8.5. Now the rubber meets the road. People want to talk about the gambling. John, let's make some quick picks on these things. I don't like Houston +3.
I don't either.
I like the Chargers.
The
Chargers have the best defense going. They're 6-3 on the road. Houston's not a tough place to play. It's almost like a bowl atmosphere. I would say give me the Chargers -3 for sure.
Same. And, I'm taking the Bills, but, one of my betting axioms is never bet on a Josh Allen game because he could destroy the game either way at any moment. And it's just either he's winning by 20 or he's losing by 20. And so me personally, that's just my thing. I'm taking the Bills, but I just stay the hell away from betting on Josh Allen.
How about tonight? Ravens, Steelers. It's Ravens -9.5.
I'm taking Ravens. I think that they are going to make a push. If they get healthy after this game and get back Zay Flowers, I think that the Ravens are probably the biggest threat, and the Bills, obviously, to get out of the NFC. I think there's 3 teams that can get out of the AFC.
I got Philly beating Packers by more than 5.
They're so hot right now. They're probably the hottest team in the NFL right now.
They look great. The game that I won't be betting because I just don't have a feel is Commanders-Bucks. I like the Commanders more than the Bucks, but the Bucks are at home. You got the rookie quarterback on the other side. The Commanders are riding high, but the Bucks are kind of oddly a difficult team to play.
Kingsbury in the playoffs. Has that ever happened?
I like the Commander. What's that?
Kingsbury in the playoffs. Has that ever happened?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But who's your pick in Bucks Commanders?
I think I'm going Bucks. It's close. And obviously, the Commanders, if they play up to their level and Jaden Daniels is Jaden Daniels, but I'm telling you, the Bucks just got a weird feel about them in a positive way. And I'm not a Baker Mayfield guy. Obviously, I'm a Longhorn, but I freaking love what he is doing. I love that this team is so pissed off with a chip on their shoulder, and everybody, Atlanta. I bet the Bucks to win the division before the season. So I'm kind of thinking the Bucks could spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. And give me the Vikes. Give me the Vikings in Arizona against the Rams on Monday night. Do you like the Vikings? It's Vikings minus 2.5.
I would pick any team against the Rams and any team against the Vikings, and somehow they're playing against each other. I don't know. I don't respect neither. I don't think either one of those two teams have a chance. It's going to be a fun game. I'm going to go Vikings defense. Brian Flores, I think, is and I'm going to go. I think my coach of the year would be Kevin O'Connell. I think that
he's
dude
been great. He's been great. O'Connell's been outstanding. I might go with Andy Reid this year, just from the standpoint they keep winning all these close games. They're the number one seed. They get everybody's A game. It doesn't seem like it ever matters. Blood Moon says we had no tight end behind Kittle for how long? Shaking my damn head. This year, I mean, though I'll say this: the one guy that they truly redshirted this year that is a player is Mason Pline.
Yep,
you're going to see Mason Pline show up next summer. He's a great kid. He's 6'8". He's got great vertical. He's a good receiving tight end. They gave him a redshirt year. I think he's going to be a really, really good, terrific kid too.
At worst, a receiving number 2 option. At worst, like that is there.
Stephen Draper said, Krueger, you got it wrong. Styles is not small. He's big. 6'4", 235, 448, 40 off the ball.
Those are some Fred Warner numbers right there, Stephen Draper.
Yeah, those are good. Those are, as I said, I didn't study a lot of Styles. I like Simon a little bit better. I like Tyleik Williams up front. And Sawyer had that great play yesterday, though I don't see Bosa. I mean, Sawyer's nice, but he's not Bosa. He's not, he's a nice player, but he's stiff. He's not nearly
he's much more of a try-hard, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Bosa's talented. His whole family are first-round picks. Sawyer is incredible as well, but he's got a little bit more Kerry Hyder to him than he does, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa. But he's great, and he should go probably second round. Good player. I'd love for the Niners to get him.
Last one, Moises Rosales. Larry, love your gambling takes. Hit on a lot. Bet responsibly. And no, I seriously, sometimes there's times when I just can't hit at all. But man, I have been rolling on football for the last 4 weeks.
Love it.
I don't know that I haven't cashed. I'm probably like 20-3 in the last 4 weeks. I missed like a couple bowl games, but I hit almost all of them. I'm for whatever reason, I've gotten in modes where I can't ever win. I'm now in that mode where
he's on fire.
I get the Midas touch right now. So I say go with the Chargers, give the 3. That's my pick of the day. That's my platinum 5-star lock of the day. All right. Those guys always crack me up. Those tout guys,
Oh yeah.
Do you know where your parents' wallet is? Go find it and call me at 888. It's like, stop.
Oh, that's
awesome. John, good stuff, man. When are you streaming next? What do you got cooking the next few days? Tell people if they want to find you, where they can find you, and when you'll be producing more content.
Yeah, 49ers Rush Podcast. Wherever you watch and or listen, please hit subscribe. I'm going to be doing a mock draft tomorrow on Sunday before all the playoff games. Then, Larry, this is huge. I am taking a break for 2 days. I'm going skiing in Tahoe by myself. Can't wait. I haven't taken a day off in just over 2 months. So pretty excited about that.
Have you ever been?
Oh yeah, I'm a ski bird,
so
whatever you have,
even though you were a Texas guy, you've found time to come to NorCal to go to Tahoe.
So we moved out here a year and a half ago, and I've been to Tahoe one time before that, but I got the Epic Pass, and I took my son up there a couple weeks ago and recorded from there, which was fun. But yeah, man, I love skiing. It's my guilty pleasure when football is not going on. And now that the Longhorns and the Niners are out, and I am sad on the inside, I'm going to go spend time outside in the snow and have a good time.
If you were in Austin, right? You moved from or Dallas, right? Dallas.
Yes, sir.
Breckenridge? Where would you
drive to? Taos, New Mexico, Red River, not great ski places, but for Texas people, I mean, you're in Texas, you're in Dallas, you go to the second floor, you can see Oklahoma, and so like we'd have to go 12 hours to New Mexico is usually where we would go. But
New Mexico. So how's New Mexico skiing?
It's not great. It's not great. But I loved it.
Yeah, I would think Breckenridge or Vail, or how far is Colorado from Dallas?
About a 15, 16-hour drive. Yeah, you get there,
yeah.
but it's a ways. That's a ways.
Well, hey, man, enjoy Tahoe. Safe travels. Get up and back safe. Thanks for jumping on, and we'll do this again soon. Everybody give John in the 49er Rush podcast a like and subscribe over there. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show over here. Thanks to our sponsors, BetUS. Thanks to Sharp Corners. Thanks to, of course, Pig and a Pickle. For John, I'm Larry. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Enjoy some football, and peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.